I was now faced with a moral dilemma: stay and protect my family, or continue on the manhunt of the 5 remaining assassins that were still inside our camp. Without hesitation, my wife told me, go. Get them before they kill any more of us. We'll be fine here. We'll stay hunkered down inside the cabin. Don't you worry. I won't let anything happen to the girls. And just like that, Joe and I took off down the path in the direction of screams. More gunfire continued to erupt, surely resulting in more deaths. Camper after camper were left with doors flung open and riddled with bullet holes. Semi-automatic rifles and pump shotguns, I was guessing. There was gunfire coming from the public shower and bathroom building, approximately 100 yards from us. As we both approached, we stumbled across the bodies of Bud and Gladys Baker. Seasonal campers I knew from 30 years ago when I was a child, both with bullet holes to their heads. My grandmother and my mother had been close friends of theirs. The thought of them being gunned down enraged me. As we finally approached the wash house, 3 members of our West Entrance Security Patrol were already engaging 4 Ridge Creek members who had tried to take cover inside. Rounds were flying back and forth in both directions, with only the massive trunks of the pine trees giving us cover. We had arrived just in time as our guys were running low on ammunition. Combined, Joe and I had over 200 rounds of 5.56 to back up our security patrol with. I told Joe, we've got 3 options here. Keep exchanging rounds, hope they run out of ammo first, burn them out, or option 3, I toss the lone remaining grenade inside and we end this now. Joe smiled, stuck up 3 fingers. I yelled for my group to cover me, and as I got within 10 feet of the building, I pulled the pin, delivered an accurate throw through the now broken stained glass windows, and immediately hauled ass back behind cover. 5 seconds later, the explosion echoed throughout Wood Creek. The enemy gunfire ceased to exist, and I hoped all 4 inside had now met their maker. The 5 of us carefully approached. The rear wall was blown completely out. The roof had collapsed on the once 20 by 10 foot building. I told the group, we're not moving on until we pull all 4 bodies out, or find whatever's left of them. Joe said he had heard moans coming from beneath the rubble. Watch your 6, fellas, as we began digging to see where it came from. Help me, please, the man muttered. We had 1 still breathing and 3 others dead. Please, I'm sorry. Help me, he again said. I didn't want to be part of this, but I had no choice. What do you mean, no choice? Joe replied. The man said the leadership of Ridge Creek was using coercion and fear to force its people to fight. We are promised if we fight, our families get to eat. If we refuse, our family starves. I asked the man, how many are inside your camp? He answered 22 after the 8 of us were sent out this morning. Ryan is the leader. Him and his men decide who eats and who doesn't. I figured it was a good possibility the leadership of Ridge Creek now knows that they have a food shortage coming this winter and is using this war to cull its own population, gain new turf, and eliminate the local competition, all at the same time. The man even mentioned that cannibalism had been discussed between Ryan and his lackeys. I had one more question for him. I asked if any of these men were ex-military we were dealing with. Gasping for air, he said, no, I don't think so. They were a group of 20-somethings who showed up a week or so after the grid went down. They rose to power by force and fear. I've got no more questions, and you've got no more time to live, I replied. I placed the barrel of my AR directly on his forehead and fired 1 round into his brain. He had a piece of copper pipe from the plumbing lodged into his stomach. As far as I was concerned, I'd done him a favor and put him out of his misery. I radioed Daryl, informed him we had just terminated 4 more intruders. That left 1 unaccounted for. I told him Joe and I were going to go directly to Ridge Creek to end this war now. We had gathered intel from one of the deceased members. Now was the time to finish it. Daryl and some of the remaining security patrol would do a camper-by-camper search, looking for injuries, casualties, and any sign of the last remaining insurgent. Joe and I returned back to my cabin to reload on ammunition, supplies, and grab the map Daryl had made for us. The thought crossed my mind to drive the Bronco into hostile grounds, but we decided to go on foot through the same woods they infiltrated us by. With not so much of a goodbye to my wife and children, we headed up the ridgeline behind the cabin to make the 1.5-mile hike to the enemy's perimeter. The initial attack happened less than 2 hours ago at 1000 hours. I asked Joe if he trusted and believed the intel we had just received. He answered, "It didn't matter. We take out the leadership, and then we'll decide the fate of the rest. We need to be on high alert, keep our eyes open for any booby traps they may have deployed on this trail." No more than 30 paces, Joe told me to stop. There was a 4-foot hole dug out with razor-sharp sticks pointing up, covered by some pine branches. The kind of thing that could put a real hurting on an unsuspecting person, or make a meal out of some unassuming prey. Daryl radioed in on the walkies and said he had recovered a walkie off one of their dead. He said whoever was leading Ridge Creek was trying to make contact with the group they had sent out on their suicide mission. He said they sounded desperate and were falling further into denial when he received no response back. "Now is your chance," Daryl said. "Get in there before they send more our way." We were less than a half-mile out from our destination. Joe had picked out and noticed tracks going back and forth in each direction. This obviously wasn't the first time Ridge Creek had made this trip. He figured they had been scouting our camp for weeks. Seconds later, we both heard a single gunshot echo out from their camp. "Double time," Joe whispered. As we winded our way through the bordering woods, we could hear a voice yelling. "Who's next?" the man said. "Either you comply and fight for me, or you die." I assumed that was Ryan, the leader, who was executing Ridge Creek members one by one who refused to step up and go on the next suicide mission for him. There was a man on his knees in front of him, pleading, begging for his life. Ryan was standing in front of him with a pistol pointed at his forehead. Joe had seen enough. He braced his AR on a tree branch, using it as a rest. Took aim some 100+ yards away. He took a few breaths in and slowly exhaled each time. 2 separate shots rang out. The first was Ryan executing the man that was on his knees. The second was Joe's 5.56 green tip that penetrated Ryan's left eye, dropping him immediately to the ground. "Damn it," Joe said. He flinched on me when he fired that pistol. I was aiming square for his forehead. I knew Joe was an Army vet, but it wouldn't be until later that day I would find out he was infantry, the backbone of the Army who defended our country against any threat by land, as well as capturing, destroying, and repelling enemy ground forces. The engaging gunshot set off a panic inside their camp. Bodies were ducking and hiding for cover. Return fire began coming in the direction they thought the round came from. But by now, Joe and I had moved, and they were wasting precious rounds, pumping them into the trees. I deployed 2 cans of smoke grenades into the camp, adding to the chaos that was ensuing. Joe shouted out, "Shoot anything that moves." Ryan had 2 guys that worked directly under him, and they were the only 2 Ridge Creek members returning fire on us. Under the cover of the green smoke, Joe had terminated one of them. That left 1 more against Joe and I. As the cloud of smoke dissipated, we watched in horror as the last remaining assailant started executing his own people. With multiple bodies down and no more ammunition in his rifle, he reached for the pistol Ryan had used and pointed it directly at the side of his head, pulling the trigger, all while staring at Joe and I. He took the cowardly way out rather than face us. Joe quickly recovered the 3 weapons, and I counted an additional 10 bodies that Ryan and his crew gunned down in cold blood. I called out to any remaining Ridge Creek survivors, step out now, and you'll live. If we have to come find you, I promise you, we'll kill you. I know that not everyone here agreed with Ryan and what he was doing to us at Wood Creek. That's why I'm giving you all one chance, and one chance only, to step forward, unarmed, and live to see another day. All of a sudden, one by one, 9 emaciated bodies of 7 men and 2 women complied with my warning. They all looked abnormally thin because of the lack of food. Even though they were all gaunt, they were the fortunate ones who had not been killed and would now have a second chance. Joe and I both knew bringing them back with us was the humane and compassionate thing to do. It was clear that this camp was run by intimidation and fear. They were not all evil and malevolent people here. As dusk was approaching, Joe made contact with Daryl. He told him the threat has been terminated. We have 9 refugees who are returning with us. Bring the tractor and wagon. Let's all get them out of here and go home.